Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 264. If you are listening on the day of release, it is the 19th of September, and I'm going to kick things off with a review that we had on our Apple podcast, which is really, really good. And that is where we are trying to get reviews, but this is a great one. It's from PJ Buckley 11, and I know who that is Pete Buckley. I'm sure it is. But I will quickly read. And he says, 5-star review. Peter and James lead you through the complex world of fitness and health. With super guests, this fabulous podcast is a must. Whether you're a professional trainer or simply someone interested in health and fitness, James and Peter are regularly joined by knowledgeable guests, including the fountain of knowledge, Dan John, who dispenses wisdom from many years of his background as a discus and strength coach. Pete talks about his experiences as Walk Bath UK lead and personal trainer, while the well-read James speaks with experience from his many successful years as founder, owner, proprietor of a successful gym, Unique Results in Chelmsford, Essex, UK. So that is a fantastic review. Okay.
Really?
We really couldn't have written a better review ourselves. So thank you, Pete, for that. That's absolutely brilliant. Please do. I mean, you know me, I know you, but please ping me a message. Let us know what size of merch you would like, whether you would want a t-shirt or possibly, as we're moving in towards autumn now, if you would like a sweater or a hoodie, just let us know and we will sort that out for you. But thank you so much. And anybody else who is watching or listening and would like to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts is where we're going for them. That would be really, really great. We now have, I think we've got 28 reviews on there, and we are a 5 out of 5, 5.0 out of 5. So 100 really, really good reviews on there. So thank you very much, Pete Buckley. Let me know what you'd like merch wise, and I'll get that sent off to you. So that was a good way to kick off the podcast. It is Pete and I today because we realized that we've had the last 5 episodes with guests, and we do like to try and sort of touch base with each other probably like once every 1 to 2 months, every kind of 4 to 8 weeks. It's nice to do an episode, just the two of us, to talk over what's going on and the guests we've had on. How are you doing, Mr. Peter Lant in Bath with your broken foot? Are you all right?
It's still broke. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm, yeah. Like I said, it's broken, but I haven't had any time off. Because of it. So yeah, it's one of those things when you work for yourself and all that sort of stuff, and when you're actually got things to do. But
like you said, you've got like a good network around you now, and you've got the kind of the Walk Bath and the Walking Souls community is able now. You've got various walk leaders and things like that. So actually, all your walking, although you haven't been doing the walks the last couple of weeks, you've had sort of volunteers and people covering and leading the walks, haven't you?
Yeah. What's been interesting about it is I talk about how, obviously, and people know how good walking is and how good it is for your mental health and physical health and all of that sort of stuff, which we bang on about all the time. But not being able to go out when that's what you enjoy doing. Because it's not that I can't go out, I can actually walk on it, but just not very far and not very fast. But I can still take the dog out for a walk and go for a hobble around the park. But I want to do I want to do more than that. You know what I mean? And it's like it's funny because the thing that helps with it is the thing that I can't do. But it also, I'm looking upon it as a good thing because it's letting me know that actually it is needed, and the amount of the amount of benefits people will get from it, because I'm feeling what they probably might be feeling by not being able to go out or not knowing where they're going or not knowing what to do or whatever. So it's like it's been quite interesting, really.
I've just made a little note because I think this is something we can maybe touch on a bit later, which is around kind of injuries and niggles and more serious injuries, and how we kind of deal with that in a kind of, it's an overused term, mental health, mindset, whatever you want to
Yeah.
say, because I'm dealing with a couple of injuries at the moment as well. And I think it's good because lots of people, I'll put a pin in that and I'll come back to it anyway. Yeah, because I think that's it. That's interesting because that's something that most of our listeners will come across at some stage. If like us, you are committed to exercising, training, being active for the rest of your life, it's inevitable that at some stage you are going to have some kind of injury or something go on that you need to work around. So we'll maybe touch on that a bit later. But yeah, we've had, like I said, we've had 5 weeks, the last 5 weeks with guests. And just to remind you, I'll do my pick of the pops rundown. So episode 259 was with Andrea Thompson. Episode 260 was with Dr. Nancy Allen. Episode 261 was with David Amaland. Episode 262 was with Jeanette and Roger Dundridge up in Aberdeenshire. And episode 263 was with Steve Gardner last week. So there's 5 really great guests that we had on, and again, all very, very different, because just Andrea Thompson is a former world's strongest woman, strong woman, professional kind of competitor. Dr. Nancy Allen is an NHS GP of 25 years. David Amaland was talking a lot around longevity and habits, and also the way the body reacts to exercise. Jeanette and Roger were both in their 60s, talking about staying active and pursuing athletic goals in their 60s. And then Steve Gardner, again, late 60s, 50 years in the kind of the iron game, and we talked about all things from like tug of war to arm wrestling to strength training to Olympic lifting to strongman to Highland Games, all that kind of thing. So a real mixed bag of guests. Any of those things, have you had any conversations, Pete, or any of those people bring up anything for you, in terms of either conversations you've had with other people or just things that have, you've maybe thought about yourself as a result of those podcasts?
Well, I have done. The first thing I'll say is the ring that I bought. Loads of people have been asking me about it. I had another message on Instagram yesterday from someone asking me about it. So like they're saying, can you tell us what it is, what brand it is and all that? I've had 3 of them because I bought one and I didn't like the app, so I sent it back. I bought another one and that was working all right and I quite enjoyed it. And then enjoyed it, you know what I mean? I liked it.
Yeah.
But then it stopped charging. So I sent that one back and I've got another one which uses the same app as the first one. But that seems all right. But they're just generic. Just Google them. Just go onto Amazon and look for them. They're like 30 quid. I don't know what make they are. They're all pretty generic. They're not the Aura ones and stuff. If you want to buy an Aura one, that's cool. They cost more money, but the one I've got is just a 30 quid generic one. They're all very similar. So I would just say to people, just pick a one that you like the look of and get that. But yeah, that episode that we did with Nancy, I've been telling quite a lot of people about that. Because I don't know if I've mentioned it on any previous episodes. There was one guy talking to me, said he'd been to doctors and he was on one of the walks. And he'd been to doctors and his cholesterol's coming down and all that sort of stuff since the last year or so, since he's been coming along on the walks. But he said that he said, they did a marker and it was at 11%, which would be his Q risk. So I said, that would be Q risk, right? Nancy was saying nobody knows about this and all of that sort of stuff. Your doctor does. So I think they've put him on a statin. But I did say, listen to this episode, and as soon as you come below 10% on those statins, you can say to your doctor, I don't want to do them anymore. So he just found that interesting. So I was like, look, I'm not giving you medical advice or anything, but just go and listen to the episode because Nancy talks about this. So there was that. And another guy who I know who is, it's interesting because he's been overweight for a very long time, but he does training and all that sort of stuff. He's in his head about it. It's more of a mental thing than a physical thing, which it often is. And he's eats a lot of bread. It turns out, right? Loads of bread. Just as like, he'd be sitting at home busy, like working away, and you just go on board and go down the kitchen.
Yeah, it's quick, it's convenient, it's easy, isn't it? Yeah.
So we worked it out. It's something like he's probably eating like 3,500 calories of bread a week outside of meals, right? So that's nearly 2 days worth of calories. Nancy was talking about carbs and how that can increase your cholesterol. Because I can't remember how she described it, but I remember listening to it on the episode. So, and his cholesterol's quite high, so he's had to have a test. And I told him what ours was, like 7.5, something like that. So I said, if it comes out too high with what Nancy said, it's not the end of the world. But he's also like 2 points away from being pre-diabetic or something. And that was what worried him. He's 50, nearly 51. And that was what worried him, because he's had relatives who've had type 2 diabetes and had limbs removed and all that. And he was like, I don't want. So it's scared him. So he goes along. This was interesting as well, because I said about wanting to know the metrics, right? Some people just don't want to know. Am I pre-diabetic? No, you're not. Brilliant. But you could be this close to being it, right? You're within normal ranges, but you're at the far end, sort of thing. So he said, as soon as this, like in previous years, it's been like, you're not diabetic. And then this one was like, you're almost pre-diabetic. He didn't like that. So this got me to thinking, with numbers, like we got our blood work done and we know our numbers and all that sort of stuff. For things like that, I want to know the number, right? Because you want to know, because you know that there's something you can do about it, diet and lifestyle and all that. However, when I broke my foot in the x-rayed it last week, they didn't offer for me to do it anyway, but I probably could have asked. I don't know. I didn't want to see the x-ray, because they said, you've broken your foot. It's not a bad break. You don't need a boot. You can still get around on it and keep it moving. Just don't overdo it. And I thought, well, if I see that x-ray, I'm going to see a broken bone, and that's going to be in my head that's there. So it's going to affect what I do psychologically. So I don't want to know. I just know it's broken, and I know it will get better, because they didn't seem too worried about it. Whereas if it's something that you can measure, you can't measure a broken bone. It's either broken or not, isn't it? But you can measure a number of cholesterol, or a number on like blood pressure
or
or any blood work markers. You can measure those. So you want to know where you are within that range, and then what you can do to bring it down. What can I do to mend my bone quicker? Not a lot, apart from eat well and move around and keep and all of that sort of stuff. But there's nothing else I can do. It's out of my control. But the other stuff, the blood markers, are in your control. So I just thought that was quite an interesting way, and that talks about what you alluded to earlier about the psychological stuff. So anyway, bringing it back to what episodes we've listened to, the Nancy one, all the other ones were great stories in them, and David's really good at like picking things apart and analyzing it and all that. But the Nancy thing, I think, had the biggest take homes for most people.
Yeah, very relatable, isn't it? And I think David Ameland as well. I listen, because obviously I listen to them all back, and obviously the way that we record these, sometimes, especially pre-summer, we record podcasts and maybe they don't come out for like 3 or 4 weeks. So then you listen to it back and you've almost forgot what you were talking, forgot what you talked about, and you're almost listening to it back for the first time. So I think David's was really good as well. I mean, everything, like you say, they're all very different, but they all kind of are relatable. Jeanette and Roger, talking about, she was, I think, 60 or 61 and he was 65, I think, and the way that they approach life. Steve Gardner, a whole lifetime, 50 years of kind of training within the strength world. And Andrea Thompson as well. I mean, it's good, because I talk to a lot of people who listen to the podcast, and everyone takes something from different ones, and sometimes people like some, and some people, don't like them, but then they'll like other ones, or not like and dislike, but maybe some episodes resonate more with others. And I think, people like Nancy, people like David, people like Jeanette and Roger, they're very relatable. And I think that's, what people, and they have those, that kind of immediately applicable kind of advice. So with Nancy, obviously, like you say, the Q risk score, something people can go and do straight away. David Ameland talked about having the little 5 or 10 minute kind of routine in the morning, carve out a bit of time that's just for you, you know. So these things that people can take home. Jeanette Dundridge had her kind of secrets to longevity and health and fitness that were all the basic stuff that we talk about every week, weren't they? Getting enough sleep, eating enough protein, getting your steps in, you know, managing stress, you know, getting it, like getting steps in, strength training 2 to 3 times a week, you know, all this kind of stuff, which is, you know, people probably bored of us saying it now, but it's, you know, it's true. You know, you can't get away from it. You know,
you like a quote, right? There's a quote that is sitting with me right now, and it's going to be my next tattoo, actually. No, it is. Honestly, it sits with me really well, and it fits this podcast. It fits everything, but it fits this podcast really well. So there's what was it, late 16th, early 17th century samurai, Miyamoto Musashi, who wrote the Book of Five Rings. And there's a quote in that, and it says, if you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things. And that is exactly every episode you listen to of this. People are basically saying the same. We've said it before, haven't we? They're saying the same things throughout. How do you? And Adam, we were talking about this the very beginning, and then about having a broken bone and what have you. How did Adam Meakin's put a post up because he said, like, you know, people ask him, how do you recover quickly? How do you get over injury? How do some people recover? I'm like Wolverine. I recover quite quickly, not necessarily from injury, but if I cut myself, it heals quite quickly, right? I don't know why, but it was basic. Like, if you eat well, sleep well, drink less alcohol, like everything that was said, right? You recover quickly, you recover from injury quickly, you get stronger, you get fitter, you get healthier, you get better sleep. If you do the other things, you sleep better and all of that. So it's like, that's broadly the way. And if you stick within, and broadly the way will be within the bumpers that we've spoke about before as well. So it brings it all together. So if you're broadly within that and you do that, you will see it in all things. So you'll see it in nutrition, you'll see it in recovery, you'll see it in strength training, you'll see it in how you show up at your job, how you show up in your relationship, how you sleep, how your mood is throughout the day. All of these things, it all fits. So, and that's why I want to get it stuck on me, because I think it's great.
So what is the quote again? The quote you said, broadly.
If you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things. It's great. I love it, honestly, because that's from what we're talking 300 years ago. You know, and that probably alludes to, you know, the Tao Te Ching and all that, the way, you know.
Yeah, excellent. And where are you going to have that tattooed? Somewhere you can see it, like on your arm?
No. It's for me. I'm not.
No, I mean somewhere you can see it.
Oh, somewhere. I'm not going to get it on my arm. So that'd be a bit weird.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, go. And we've had some. I saw. So a few things that have been going on lately. We had the Chloe Brennan workshop at Unique Results this past Sunday, which was absolutely brilliant. And it's funny because Kane Folks Miller, who's a regular listener to the show, he was there, and he said to me, he goes, "Oh, have you done an episode yet where you've talked about the Dinnie, you know, the Donald Dinnie Day? You've kind of done a review or a whatever of that, because that would be really interesting." I said, "Oh no, we haven't, but you know, there's just going to be Pete and myself this coming week, so we'll touch on that." So we've got obviously the Chloe Brennan workshop was at UR at the weekend, which was, Chloe was absolutely brilliant. She was really fantastic. A great teacher, a great coach, really knows her stuff. Obviously, there was 10 of us on the workshop, and we had a really, really great day. Obviously, we were at the Dinnie Day, the Donald Dinnie Day, but because we've had, you know, guests back to back and back, we've not really talked much about that. We've mentioned it. You've got the Walking Solves retreat this coming weekend in Wales. Yep. And then next weekend, as we are recording, we've got the Britain's Disabled Strongman and Strongwoman at Brunel University as well. So there's loads of stuff that we've kind of done recently and got coming up. I suppose, first of all, let's touch on the experience of the Dinnie Day, you know, up in Scotland. in Potark on the was the first weekend in August, wasn't it? And you went to the Arboyne Highland Games the day before as well on the Saturday, didn't you? And then I was up there on the Sunday for the Dinnie Day. But that was a hell of an experience, wasn't it?
Well, it was cracking because we've got two episodes out of it so far since then as well. Now we're talking about that weekend. We've already done 2 episodes that with guests.
We
on,
met
like
people on the back
Roger
of it,
and Jeanette and Steve as well. Yeah, but no, it was what was great about it, and I've probably mentioned this on an episode before, was like we were there with the history of the Dinnie Stones and the history of the O'Boyne Games because they're all there. Like Stevie Shanks and his dad Jack and his mum, I can't remember what's her name. Joyce.
And Jan,
Joyce.
yes, and Jan Todd as well.
Jan
obviously,
Todd was there as well. You know, and Stevie's wife Heather and his dog Hamish.
Yeah,
and you know, and his brother was there. And then you've got like John Gabe, who we've had on the show, and you know, Andy Crawford, who's going to come on the show. The Stoltmans and our picture taken with him, where I look like I'm standing about like 20 foot away. But no, I just thought like it was just a cracking day, a cracking weekend. In fact, Sean loved it as well. She thought it was amazing. The O'Boyne Highland Games was really good, but there was so many people there. So many people. It was really busy, right? Whereas the Dinnie Day, there was a lot of people there, but it was just easier to just grab a little place to sit and watch and what have you. Know, it was a bit more kind of informal. So
I was trying to kind of work out, and I think it's difficult to know how many people were there because people are kind of milling about and stuff. But I don't think there was probably more than about, I don't know, 400 maybe.
I've no idea.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it was a good amount. Put it that way.
It was a good amount, but it wasn't, But like you say, it was small enough to feel kind of personal and to feel like you were part of something, that's not like a massive event, and you could just, like you say, we walked up and got pictures with the Stoltmans and you could walk around and just see people just milling around. It was like a kind of almost like a little village fete, wasn't it? But you had all these people that we've spoke about on the podcast, for years, there, which was fantastic.
Well, yeah, exactly. But there's also, Chris Beetham, who's going to come on as well. He won it one year.
Yeah.
But then Steve Gardner's there, and he's like a legend in the strength game, in the iron game, and you wouldn't know it when he's there. He's just sitting there doing the comparing and that, and you wouldn't if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. You'd be like, who's this guy? Who's that guy? Who are these people?
Yeah.
You could see there was a bunch of cyclists. Because it's obviously just the field next to the road, isn't it? And there was a bunch of cyclists come past, didn't they? And they were watching, going like, what on earth is going? What is this? What is going on over there? And they were like, you could see them watching. They had they didn't do the Atlas Stone event. They did like a lifting stones onto the barrels, didn't they? At the end, the final event.
Yeah.
The natural stones. So they've obviously got to pick them up, get them on, and then balance them on. And because as soon as they let go, if it falls off, it's void.
Yeah.
And you could see, these guys were like fascinated. They were like, oh, they've got to try and get that must be really tricky. They've got to get the center of gravity and they've got to find out like how it moves. And then when they put it down, they've got to figure out if it's okay or not. And it was great. It was really cool. Just like seeing them do that. These like, because guys in the Lycra who are really skinny, massive quads going like, well, that looks a bit tricky. So, it was brilliant.
And then you're obviously going to be there next year again for the 10th anniversary, aren't you? So
yeah. Sean's already on that.
Yeah.
It's great.
I will not be there next year because I am going to be on holiday and come back the day after. But I will be there the year after, I'm sure.
What did you think about it anyway, James? Because
I absolutely loved it. I mean, like I say, it was great. And like you say, and Andy Crawford, I've just been messaging him. He's going to hopefully be on potentially next week as well. And yeah, it's watching, Stoneland, watching the Maximum Iron documentary Stones, having these kind of guests on that we've had already. And like I say, it was very strange for me because I got there hours, I think I got there about 8 a.m. and it didn't start until midday. So I was there with Stevie from the very start, and I was kind of just walking around and there was no one there then. So I walked over to the cafe and saw the Stones. They were still just outside at that time, walked onto the Potok Bridge, you know, where Donald Dinnie walked across the bridge with the Stones. And it's all these things that you've seen in documentaries before and you've seen on YouTube. And so I had that strange feeling. It felt like I'd been there before, but I hadn't. You know, but it was yeah, it was great. No, it was very, very good. It was one of those kind of things, similar to, you know, when we said when we first did the disabled strongman and strongwoman, how much of a kind of fantastic experience that was. And then this was something similar again, you know. And it's just, yeah, it's just great that we've opened up these opportunities through doing the podcast and through making connections with people. And then obviously, you know, like you say, there we met Steve Gardner, who was on last week. We met Jeanette and Roger, who was on the week before. So yeah, no, it's great, really, really good.
It's funny because we were saying before we started recording. I spoke to Gary last week, so Gary Clark, who's a disabled strongman. He's got cerebral palsy and stuff. And I was telling him, oh, I've broken my foot, so it's a bit tricky to get around in that. And I was like, but look who I'm talking to, you know what I mean? Because he can't walk. He's got crutches and so he can't carry things when he walks and all that, you know what I mean? I was like, it puts it into perspective, these sorts of things. It's like, I'm not going to whinge about it, am I? I'll still get around. Things hurt a little bit and it takes ages, but bloody hell, could be a hell of a lot worse, you know what I mean? So like this is what's great about that stuff. Like you go to these sorts of things and you see people who give up, like even at the Dinnie Stones thing, like, you know, none of them they're not disabled and all that sort of stuff, but they give up. Well, I say they give up a lot, sacrifice a lot to be able to do these things, but it's what they enjoy doing as well. So it's just really interesting to see where people put their energy, you know, and they put their energy into that and growing it. And I forget his name. What's the name? Nickel.
Oh, Brett Nickel.
Yeah. Brett Nickel, he's got the Nickel Stones and all that sort of stuff, but he's been around for like 20 years in that, involved in that or longer or whatever. So it's just really nice to see that these people absolutely love it and they're kind of woven into it, aren't they? They're woven into the tartan of the of the Dinnie Stones, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I think the first podcast we did with Stevie Shanks, we called it The Fabric of Strength. I think it was the first one we did, you know, and it's true. Yeah, absolutely. And Chloe, you know, when I saw Chloe at the weekend, because she had been with Steve Gardner on the Saturday doing the kind of the Iowa stuff, you know, the all-round weightlifting on the Saturday, and then she was with us on the Sunday, and I think she said she was gutted because I think it was the first one that she's not been at, the first Dinnie Day that she's not been at this year. So yeah, hopefully she'll be back again next year. So yeah, with your foot, are you going to be okay next weekend doing the helping with all the loading and the moving around and stuff? You're going to do your best, I suppose.
I said to Gary, I can load plates onto bars and or logs and stuff like that, but there'll be we'll see. I don't.
You got to be sensible. You got to be sensible.
Yeah, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be like picking up Atlas stones and moving them around. I can't do that anyway. Even when my foot.
The good thing is though they can roll, can't they? So that's good.
But I'll be able to do lots of. I can stand and I can move. It just takes me ages to do anything. But by then it might be all right. I don't know.
Yeah, because I suppose that's another. Well, it's another kind of 8 days, isn't it? Till we're there. We'll be there on the Friday setting up, won't we? So that'd be great. And this weekend, then, Walking Souls Retreat, the inaugural Walking Souls Retreat in Wales. What's going on there? What's that about?
Well, it's funny because I wrote a post about it yesterday, and this was because friend of the show, North Star Thinking,
Will Polston.
Like I follow him on Instagram, and something popped up. I know you see him all the time, don't you? But something popped up and he had a bunch of Marcus Aurelius quotes. And one of them, I was like, oh, that's a good one. So I just Googled it and stuck a post up and I can't even remember what the quote was now. There it is.
Oh, no, I saw it. This was about you breaking your foot, wasn't it?
Yeah. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind and your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. And I just thought that's amazing. And I've done this before with stuff like, you know, like mindset stuff or whatever you want to call it. But before a feeling comes a thought every time. So whatever you're feeling like on a certain day, you're like, why do I feel like this? Why am I a bit down today? It's like there's a thought that's brought you. You've attached to a thought that's brought you to that feeling. And it's so that's why, like, you know, getting up in the morning and having a morning routine or whatever you do is winning, like, you know, having a positive experience in the beginning of the day makes the day better. So the retreat came out of, I call it a retreat. I don't know what else to call it. It's just a weekend away. But it comes out of the fact that people come walking with us on a Saturday morning or a Wednesday evening through the summer, and they get 2 hours away from everything, and they switch off, and they're like, "God, that was 2 hours I've had to myself." Even though they're with a bunch of people, it's 2 hours for them, and a lot of people never get that, or they never feel that they get it. Even if they do get it, they don't know what to do with it, so they sit there like staring at the wall, or they'll like flicking through Netflix for 2 hours trying to figure out which film they want to watch. Right? It's like it's all these things. So I thought, well, if we do that for 2 hours, what happens if we do it for 48 hours? So I just asked a bunch of people. I said, you know, I invited people. Said, look, I'll book an Airbnb. It's this much money. I'll provide all the food and everything. You don't have to do it. You just have to turn up, and I'll take care of everything. We'll do some like introspection work, some like I say, mindset or whatever. I don't know what else to call it. But based on these sorts of things, like sorting your thought, not attaching to your thoughts, and you're not going to not have them, but you just let them run by, and all of these sorts of things, like meditation. We've done all that before. We've talked about all of this. You know, and then like a little bit kind of about what to do about that for the future and how to tell a different story for yourself, because everything you've done up until this point has got you to where you are now, and whether you want to be there or not, everything you do in the future, what does it look like in 20 years, basically? But like the practicalities behind that, and how to build out a process that you just follow every day, right? Because it's that simple, but it's not that easy to implement, right? Because people are like, well, how the hell do I do that? Because I get up in the morning and I'm already in the day.
And also, most people never really have set aside the time to think about a lot of this stuff, do they?
Nah.
So actually having that 48 hours with you where they are somewhere, and it's like a retreat, like you say, where you're taking yourself out from your everyday life. Because with the best will in the world, most people, you know, their lives are busy, aren't they? And if they're just at home, they'll, like you say, where you need to almost be taken out of that and have time to have time with your thoughts and have time to do this sort of stuff, don't you? Yeah.
But the interest, the thing about it is, I don't want it to be too, like, it's not rigid. It's not, it sounds like it's going to be like, bloody hell, that sounds like exhausting, a hell of a lot of stuff. But what we're going to do is in the morning, we'll get up, I'll make breakfast. Everyone will have breakfast, just a bunch of stuff. And, you know, and then after that, we'll do a quick bit of an intro into how it all works. And then after that, it's like, well, we'll go for a walk. I won't. I'll walk around around the garden a couple of times or something. But they're all going to go up Fanny Big, I think, which is always funny. Because they're at the Airbnb's at the bottom of like Penny Fan and what have you. But to get up to Penny Fan, you've got to go up one, down, and then up Jacob's Ladder. And I don't think everyone's going to want to do that. So they're going to go up Fanny Big. Sean's going to come over and take them up there, which is nice. Which is great of her. She's going to bring the dog as well. But so what'll happen is in the morning we'll be like, right, here's how it all works for like an hour and a half or whatever. Here's some of the tools you can use, and then go for a walk. And then they can start to think about it and chat to each other if they want and all that. And then when they get back from the walk, it's just downtime until dinner. And they can think about it, talk about it, they can journal, they can do whatever. I've got a notebook for them all. And then on the Sunday, we'll get up and do similar in the morning, but like the other side of it, like, you know, like a little bit more of the tools to use and everything. And then we'll go for another walk and go home. So, but the thing with it is, it's not like, here's what you should do. It's like, here's the kind of framework of what you can use. Like you do this all the time, stuff, don't you? Here's the framework of what you can use, and then you can use it however you want, because everyone's different. It's just a kind of, here you go. Here's how it's done. Go away and figure out how to do it using these things for yourself. So like when people talk about morning routines, not everyone needs a morning routine. You know, I don't have one. The mornings are different for me, but I I get by with it because I do all the other stuff. So it's going to be a little bit like little bit about that. So basically, when they get home on the Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon or whatever, and then go through like from then on, they think about this stuff, and also it adds value to any franchises that I can sell for this, because then they can run retreats in. So let's say we're in Bath. There's people got franchises in different areas. You just say, well, like when you guys came across, we're running a retreat in Bath. So I could run one here, but anyone from here could go to one in Wales or Scotland or anywhere, you know. So I just think it's a great, there's loads of these things happen, but they're all for, there's a lot of them for like men's mental health and women's mental health and this and that and menopausal women and Pilates and all that. And I'm like, bloody hell, man, that's like, you know, that fair enough. People want that, but this is more for people to come along and just get to know themselves and just be there and just be, you know, give them space to think. Basically.
Yeah, we're just in the process of sorting out booking the ski holiday for next year for the gym, and we've got like 8 people going to be on that, and there's no kind of set struck that is like a week skiing or snowboarding, but it's really good as well because you do Captain Paul Field's going to be on that, James Brees will be on that, Michelle and Steve, who are at the walking weekend, will be on that. You know, there's 8 people, but it's really nice because even in that environment, you talk a lot over dinner and you talk a lot when you're out for the day. So it's kind of without a structure to it, that's really nice as well. You know, I tend to, we talk about business and whatnot for the guys who are there who run their own businesses, and it's really good, and I am actually going away next year with Will Polston, who you mentioned. He does a like a 3-day one where we go skiing in Italy, but that's more kind of similar to what you're saying, where but it's probably a bit more structured, but whereby in the evenings you have sort of like presentations and stuff that people give around business, and then you're talking about things, and there's kind of a bit of kind of coaching in there around the skiing as well, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Which will be good. Yeah, no, that's great. Oh, that's fantastic. That yeah. Well, I look forward to hearing how you say you've got 8 on there. Did you 8 going on that?
Including me, yeah. There was 8 spaces, but the last one didn't get taken.
Yeah, but 7,
it did get taken, but then it didn't. So
yeah, but 7 plus. No, that's great. Yeah, it'd be really, really good to hear how that goes. And then probably just to touch on now, I suppose this general point for everybody, because I obviously run a gym with 130 members or whatever, and we've got physiotherapy there, Dave Adkins, who's been on the podcast a couple of times, and no matter how careful you are, if you're going to be training for the rest of your life, you are going to get some kind of injury, and it's impossible to avoid. And like you say, you did your foot just stepping off a curb, didn't you?
I've written this down. It's hilarious. The amount I only ever post any training videos. I like posting them because they pop up every now and then from a year before, and I'm like, that's where I was a year ago.
You can see your progress, yeah.
But I only put them in my stories now because not as many people see those. Because when I used to post them as like on Instagram and they'd come up on Facebook as a reel, I used to get so many comments about how poor my technique was and all of that, and you're going to break your back and everything, right? So I was just saying about the dangers of pressing the technique that I use, which like is Paul's kind of adaptive technique and what have you. And I've got way stronger, and then I go and break my foot stepping off a curb. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've got this ruptured Achilles, not ruptured, pulled Achilles. It's not like, but I pulled my Achilles running the other week. And I've got this, my left wrist. So I've got right Achilles, left wrist. And I was talking to someone.
You sound like a couple of old farts. Like
I know, well, no, it's funny. I was saying to someone in the gym today, like it was guy James Crozier and his client in the gym today sort of said that we've said before, haven't we, that it almost feels like there's this, you've got like an ache or a niggle in your body, and it just moves around your body. It's the same thing, because my left shoulder I was having problems with. That is absolutely 100% now. That's fine. But now it's my wrist, and I was having plantar fasciitis in my left foot. Now that's absolutely fine. Now I've pulled my right Achilles, and yeah, it is difficult, you know, because I was meant to be doing a like a nuclear fit, like a kind of an event thing with about 15 people from the gym in a few weeks' time, and I've had to just say to people, I've had to just say, look, I'm not going to do that, you know, because
Yeah.
I went out for a run to try it just a couple of days ago, and it really, it's very painful just after a very short distance, so it's not kind of wise to try and push. Well, I wouldn't be able to, you know, I'd have to walk it, or I'd do myself more damage. So it is frustrating, isn't it? But I suppose there's, like you put in your post the other day, um, you have to sort of look at it from a philosophical point of view, really, and not try and not be frustrated and work around when you have injuries and niggles, and sort of accept that the body's going to heal, and then sort of work around it. And I think that's the main thing, isn't it? To work around it, not just to stop, you know?
Exactly. As long as you work around it, the body will heal. The body will probably heal faster
Mm,
because Tim Anderson says that your body repairs itself at the speed of your central nervous system, right?
mm,
So if your central nervous system isn't that quick because you've sat around on your ass for 20 years, it's your
mm.
body's going to heal slowly. Whereas if you know, Fabio talked about it, who I haven't spoken to for ages, but when he tore his pec off his bone or whatever, didn't he? When he
Yeah.
was pressing. And then when he was coming back from that, he was just pressing with his other arm because it gets blood flow going, it gets your lymph going, it gets like that. Perry Nicholson talks about all the time. It gets all that moving, so therefore you repair quicker and you get back to it quicker. So I've been doing pressing and pull-ups because the pressing I can feel a little bit in my foot.
Because I said that to you, didn't I? I saw one of your
Yeah.
posts the other day, and you had done like, you know, 10 sets of whatever with, you know, with a heavy weight, and I go, well, and with a, you know, and with your foot like that, you know.
But the thing with that is what's now happening is my right foot, which is the one I'm broken, it just angles that way when I press. Because where I've broken the bone, the fifth metatarsal, if my foot is facing forwards and then the stress is put sideways, it wants to put stress on the bone. So if I just turn my foot, it doesn't put any stress on that bone. It puts it on my arch, which I don't want to be doing forever. But for now, that's like a little thing that can do. And then pull-ups doesn't matter because it's pull-ups, isn't it? Unless I lose my grip and land on my foot.
So that's interesting. So with pistol squats, which is obviously the other thing you do, are you continuing to do pistol squats on the side with the foot is not broken, or are you just not doing any at the moment?
I'm not doing any at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm just leaving that because I'm up and about as much as I can be and stuff like that. So I'm not bothering because also just by doing something, doing strength work in one area helps strengthen like other areas, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Still working in the presses and stuff. But it's one of those things, just working muscle helps muscle in other places, doesn't it? I don't want to do that forever, obviously. You can't go like, oh, I'll do loads of presses and I'll end up with massive legs. It's just not going to happen, is it? But you know, it's like,
but if it's just for like, it's only going to be for like 4 or 5 weeks, isn't it? Probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it just means I'll have to probably like knock the pistol program back down a little bit, or Paul will, whatever, I'll put it in his hands. But and then start from where I was like 2 months ago or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. So yeah, it's just but that thing about keeping moving, it's like when someone says, "Oh, I've done this, so that's it, I'm out." And it's like, no, what can you do? Do what you can, and then you know it's fair enough.
Yeah. You can always work around things, can't you? I think that's the message really for people. No matter what you've done, you'll be able to do something. You'll be able to, you know, even if it's, you know, moving into more isolation exercises, and you know, just staying away from the area that's injured. You know, it's the difficult one for most people is like a back, you know, which kind of impacts everything really, but you can then still probably move into like a more isolation exercises and things that are not using your whole body intentionally, just while that heals. But no, that's great. And we have got a few guests lined up coming up. You've already mentioned it, I think. Hopefully Andy Crawford. He is like really blown up on like Instagram. He is a stone lifter from Scotland, but he is like incredible. I think he holds probably the world record for shouldering like these some huge stones. and he is not a massive.
It was on his Instagram the other day. He showed a 152 kilo Atlas stone without any tacky or anything.
Yeah, I mean, he shouldered, I think, maybe 180, 190 kilo stone or something. Yeah. And he's actually writing me a message now, so I might have an update for you in a minute. But yeah, he literally he there's a picture of me with him, and he's maybe an inch or a couple of inches shorter than me. And he's a solid guy, but he's not massively bigger than, you know what I mean? Bigger than me. So the way that because at the Dinnie day, that was the thing. Him and Luke Stoltman kind of did a bit of a head-to-head in a friendly way, trying to like shoulder this big sort of 150-ish kilo stone. And Andy was kind of showing Luke how he can put it on his chest, then take his hands away and just have it balancing on his chest and then shoulder it. And then Luke obviously went on to press it over his head, which Andy just is not able to do.
Yeah,
because he's not. But he's never really done a lot of that. But he's an incredible guy. So yeah, Andy will be on soon with us. And then also we're going to have Dan John back on with us as well, who's got a new book called The Art of Coaching. And I think he's coming on in the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks with us for what will be his 12th visit, I think, with us, because he did 10 between episode 0 and, well, between episode 1 and 200. He did 10 episodes, which is approximately, well, it's one every 20, isn't it? And then we had him on 250 as well. And then he's coming back on again with us again, which will be fantastic. So that will be great. Right, I think that's quite a good time to wrap up, I think, Pete. I mean, you've obviously got your event to get yourself ready for tomorrow. And next weekend we are going to be, me and you together, sharing a room again, Eric and Ernie, at Brunel University for Britain's Disabled Strongman and Strongwoman. Also, we'll be joined by Alex Nicole Bennett and Emma Gray are going to be there assisting.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So that's going to be really, really good. That's going to be fantastic. And then so when we come back on, we will be able to kind of. And also this weekend, I know it's the Giants Live event at Birmingham, where Hafthor Bjornsson is going for the 510 kilo deadlift. So we'll maybe touch on that next week as well. I'll be watching that at home and seeing if he can do that. But yeah, brilliant. So just to kind of, I won't read this out online. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, he's come back for us. Andy Crawford will be on with us next week. I'll talk to you, Pete, afterwards. He's come back with times and stuff. So as I said near the start, circling right back around, please do like, share, subscribe to this podcast. Leave a review if you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to do so, especially Apple Podcasts. And then just like I did today, we will read out the review on the podcast and we will send you out some merchandise. Like I say, t-shirt, or because we're now moving into autumn, sweatshirt or hoodie if you would like. We will see you next week with, I think, Andy Crawford for episode 265. Thank you very much, Pete.
You're welcome. And
we will see you. And we will see you next week. Until then, bye-bye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.